Hey, welcome to Audiotopsy. We've got a whole new season waiting for you. You may have noticed we're doing something a little bit different this season. This is Thursday night instead of Friday. So welcome and thanks for coming along for the ride with us. For those of you who are new to Audiotopsy, we are doing something a little bit different. This isn't the classic reaction. We aren't picking songs that we've never heard before that we're listening to for the first time, though sometimes for some of us that is the case. And we're primarily focusing on lyrical content. And when we pull apart and analyze the lyrics, are these lyrics reflecting a biblical worldview or not? So thanks to having Kenny Seay here, our musician in residence, we do get some really cool information now and then about the melodies and the licks and things like that. And we love that. But we are doing a lot of presuppositional analysis on song lyrics here. And we hope that you like what we're doing.
How many is this, I wonder? We've been doing this for a while. I bet we're up to over 10 by now. Like,
oh, sure.
10 audiotopsies at least.
Well, we started in September.
Okay.
So I was living in Cleveland then.
That's right. That's right.
So we started it when I was in Cleveland for 2 months. So that's about 6, 7 months.
Good night, Cleveland.
Here we go. Hey, speaking of Cleveland, that's in Ohio. You know what else is in Ohio?
Tom Dunn.
Yes, but you know what else is in Ohio?
The Go Therefore conference.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
that's right.
Coming up in the month of July is the Go Therefore conference, and Kenny, Seay, Vicki Joy, and myself will be there in attendance. And I can't tell you much else. Hey, Greg Reed's going to be back. L.A. Marzulli is going to be a part of this one. Mike Spalding. Who else?
Sharon and Derek Gilbert.
Yes.
Gilbert,
of course.
Yeah.
Go Therefore Conference 2023. 80. Does that say 86 days and 9 hours and 56 minutes and 20, 19, 18? Every second it's getting closer. Mike Spalding, there you go. Dr. Michael Lake. I'm going to be glad to see him again.
Nice.
It's our annual meetup. Pastor Casper, he sent me a text the other day. So Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, Coach Dave.
I love her.
Yeah.
David Heavener.
Ooh, who's that guy?
That picture, the picture that won't die. There's Tom Dunn. Of course,
that's
we
Tom
said Gregory Reed. Kenny Seay.
Kenny said cartoon.
Yeah. Kenny, wait. Randy Conway, David Paxton, and Vicki Joy Anderson, and Nathan Barham. So, I wonder if maybe we can do this later. If you look at the actual card, and he's got these little circles on it. And I feel like there's like a hierarchy there of like, because some people's pictures are bigger. Okay. And then some people are smaller. And then you have this order. And I think I'm on second row of the smaller people. So I'm moving up.
Oh, not
Vic,
me.
You're still on the bottom.
I am bottom of the barrel, man.
But you know somebody in the second row. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, actually the poster was completely made as in like degrees of Kenny Seay. So people that know me, they have higher levels. It's like the Kevin Bacon thing.
Yeah.
So, hey, listen, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that LA is going to be there. That's all I'm going to say. I'm so excited. I have been to 3 or 4 conferences that he has not been to.
I know.
I figure Vicky's got the pull on this one. He's got to come. He's got to be there. I'm praying there's no family.
Come on out, L.A. Marzulli to Ohio.
I'm excited about it.
I haven't seen him. You know what? I guess we saw him last year. We saw him last year in Dallas, right? Yeah.
True. But that already feels like years ago.
I know, doesn't it?
That shocked me when you just said that was last year. Yeah.
So crazy. There we go. Okay, here we go. So you see this here. And look how small your picture is, Vic.
I know. Look, I'm squished. I'm bookended in between the patriarchy there.
Yeah. So, well, you know what?
I'm a cartoon.
Small beginnings. Yeah.
That's true. I'm just excited. Kenny and I have been talking There's at least 4 guitar players there that we know of. We're kind of for a little impromptu jam session there.
That looks kind of like a bingo card. Like, you know, if you know somebody, you can like check it off. Like
Casper 13.
Yeah.
Vicki 6.
Oh, Vicki 6.
Vicki 6. That was pretty good.
There. Oh man.
Hey, at least you could. Sorry, I'm not gonna say anything else. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, we're done.
Well, you know what I love about conferences is we get to eat these little things right here.
Oh my gosh, man.
Oh, it's the truffle.
Yeah. So I'm rationing.
Those things those are on point, man. I enjoyed those last.
I'm just gonna eat mine right now.
Whoa,
Where's my water? No, I don't have a water down here. Never mind.
Oh, gluttony.
Kenny C, you finally get a turn at picking a song.
Oh, I'm not even really drinking anything. I'm
doing there.
just swagging.
I see what you're doing.
Where'd those mugs come from, man?
Those are some sweet looking mugs.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, if I have to go get my Through the Black one that's got destroyed in the
I will bring you one. You know, I forgot to bring them at the last conference. So
look, we even know in our household not to wash these things. Certain things have to go into it. And I saw it and I pulled it out. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it melted. It was like, you know, onto it. So hey, it's okay. I'll get another one. I love it.
Yeah, we'll get you hooked up, my friend.
It truly went through the black.
Yeah.
And it survived, and it's still it holds coffee really well.
Good.
So it's all good. Man.
Well, you know what? It's a one of a kind.
Yeah, no, I've kept it. I won't throw it away, man. I was like, I'm not replacing it till I get my other one. So, only a couple months.
This is I think maybe an obscure pick. Are there any fans of this band out there? I don't know, man.
Dude,
like, tell me about it.
I will tell you here. So listen, this is I actually picked this song because I was looking at stuff and I had a list of things. And someone that was at the conference, your conference, I met. Her name's Beth Wagner Martin, and we talked at the conference and stuff. And then she started sending me things on different types of music. And she's like, "Have you ever seen the video for Zebra? Who's Behind the Door?" And I was like, "You know what? I don't think so." I knew they had another song that I recognized. Zebra only had one album really in '83, and that was it. So they're kind of obscure. But I went and watched the video, and I was like, okay, this has got some pretty neat stuff in it. The lyrics, what they're talking about. There's a lot of visual stuff going on in the video, symbolism that we'll get into and stuff like that. But it's a pretty cool song. It kind of fits that whole, that it kind of fit Rush and that progressive sound from that thing. It's a little before the hair metal got really big. The guy's got a great voice, man. It's good stuff. But here's what's really interesting about Zebra. I've never seen him before. I know who the guys in the band are. Randy Jackson's the lead singer, guitar player, writes all the songs. But the 3 guys in that band are still alive and still playing, and they are doing like a 50th year tour right now. And you can actually go see them. So I pulled up some stuff, was like, I think I want to go check these guys out because they're still kicking it around and doing this stuff. But it's a very interesting song. So, yep, there it is. Zebra 2023 tour date.
I'm assuming that drummer wasn't always bald.
40 years. I don't know. Let's look at when we watch the video. We'll see.
Okay.
I know that the singer's on the right and the bass player's on the left. So that's going on. And the drummer's the guy behind the drums.
Yes. Gotcha.
Good.
Okay.
Good to know.
But it's kind of cool. The singer's actually I remember him in guitar magazines and always being like, who is this Randy Jackson from Zebra? And of course, there's another more famous Randy Jackson. There's about 3 of them actually.
He's
there's
a real good bass
Michael
player,
Jackson brother. There's the guy from Hey Dog from American Idol, played with Journey, and there's a whole lot of Randy Jacksons in the world, man. But there's only one Randy Conway, and we are grateful for that.
Yes.
So just leave it at that.
We're grateful there's only one.
Just one. He's going to write a poem about me now. I'm scared.
Yeah. Him in July.
So let's look at this song a little bit. It's
okay. Let's get into it. I have not heard this song. I think I read the lyrics, but I have not heard the song.
It's neat.
Here we go.
All right.
Sweet.
Sailed away. We walked past the miles and then we slipped away. We looked so hard, but couldn't seem to find just what the world was for. Now we know just what the journey's for.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, but you know it's and let's just preface this with the fact that this is 1983.
Right.
So that's, you know, for me, this is like when I just started really getting into rock music and playing guitar and stuff like this. So, you know, the sound fits in a lot of that progressive sound. You got all those up and kind of have this jangly sound with the synthesizers and stuff. But what I was really impressed with was the symbolism right off the bat. You're like, okay, we've got the black and white checkered thing, we've got the floorboard, there's a lot of stuff floating around in it that you're like, what? So, and then right off the bat, you know, the lyrics are, we sailed away, we walked 2,000 miles, and then we slipped away. We looked so hard but couldn't seem to find just what the world was for. Now we know just what the journey's for. And he's making a statement there. He's like, okay, we know what the journey's for, but the lyrics later into it, I question what his thought process is. It's kind of philosophical. I don't know if he's believing this is a biblical thing or not. As you get going into it, it starts to feel a little bit like there's a aspect of aliens and other types of stuff like that being possible. And you got to think, this was 83. We're looking at, 6 years or so after, like Close Encounters. So there's a lot of alien type stuff going on at that time period of thinking about stuff. So I think that's just where he was coming with it for, when it came out for it. So
Yeah.
Interesting. He says, now we know just what the journey's for.
Yeah.
I wonder if he reveals this in the song. So
I'm not going to say. We'll find out.
You said 1983 is when this came out.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we're dealing, obviously there's some short, are some struggles back then production wise. It was a lot more expensive, I think. Well, maybe I don't know if it was more expensive or not. When you're dealing with film, making videos back then, I guess the first thing I noticed production wise about the video, it is better than Don't Go to the Supermarket. So,
I disagree.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So,
so I love how Kenny's got the music and then Tom sees the film and the cinematic features. So the lyric that popped out at me was that we've walked 2,000 miles and slipped away. So I don't know if miles is an analogy for years, but 2,000.
That's what I thought too.
2,000 years ago is sort of the generic time block we give for when Jesus walked the earth
That's right.
So it's interesting with the whole alien theme. We're 2,000 miles away down the road from this Jesus character, but now we finally know what it was really about because he didn't have to write. Just a thought.
Yeah, I thought that too.
There, Vic. Yeah.
And also too, it starts right off with we sailed away, and then we walked 2,000 miles, and then we slipped away. So there's a whole lot of stuff right there to unpack, and you got to think about, I think about other bands at that time period, like Styx, Come Sail Away. That song is basically about, we thought they were angels, and they're basically talking about spacemen coming to them. And so this wasn't a huge jump. Everybody was kind of getting on board with that. I think the thing with this video though, is that they're showing a lot of stuff they're showing Nixon, they're showing the execution stuff, they're showing a lot of things that were in the world that are not great, and then they're kind of like, what's going on? The world is it's terrible, we're having this stuff, so it kind of unfolds as the video goes.
Well, think about how upset people were politically 50 years ago or 40 plus years ago. People were just bent out of shape, right? Just like they are now. So what's new, really? You know?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Isn't that interesting? I mean, we think that our problems are worse, and in some ways they are, but you know, they have this kind of B-roll footage rolling of the presidents, and obviously they're making a statement like, look at this mess, you know. And if this was made in modern days, obviously you know, we would have Obama, we would have Trump,
we'd have
and,
all
and whoever's in there now, Biden.
So honestly, you think about it, there's a symbolism of archetypes. We're still the same people. They're the same kind of things, and what we look, there's symbolism, but it hasn't changed that much. We still have the same issues and all the same problems that are going on. What, you know?
Well, and you mentioned Styx. I was actually thinking of that in that first line.
Yep.
Okay. Come sail away.
Yep.
And then as I'm thinking of the presidents and, you know, nothing ever changes, I think of the song The Grand Illusion by Styx.
Oh, yeah.
Which is about, you know, kind of what was going on there visually. It's just a different leader. It's the same thing, you know.
Yeah.
And Styx was revealing something that people today haven't even figured out, that it's a two-party system, you know, at least here in America. And, you know, there's plenty of some, you know, similar, you know, systems around the world. We are led to believe that we have a choice. We don't have a choice. Okay.
Yeah, very true. And Dennis DeYoung also was a prophet and let us know that it was Kilroy.
Yes.
So you know,
Kilroy was here.
That's right. Interesting too. I think the little play on words with ship, especially back in the 80s, maybe before the 80s, because like Kenny said, E.T. and Close Encounters and stuff.
Close Encounters, right.
But you know, when we use metaphors like ship and sail, most of us intrinsically think of a sea-bearing vessel, but ship, spaceship. So a lot of these ship songs, if you really dig into it, that kind of might be an occult blind there that they're using.
Yeah, that's good.
I want to hear more. Let's get in.
Me too. Let's do it.
Here we go. Zebra. Who's behind the door? Did we say that yet?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
No audio. No audio. We might have to. Anyway, technical difficulties here. You know, I remember seeing this album out in the stores, you know, and seeing, you know, even the logo of Zebra. Here we go. Let's try it again. I wonder what this thing is coming in the sky here.
Yeah.
Let's take a look. Okay, now I remember reading these lyrics last week when you told me about it.
Yeah.
This is turning into an episode of Twilight Zone. So
it really is. It really is. So when you listen, because I mean, they're saying looking out to the stars, think about what you are. And then they drop in what do they think of you, animals in their zoo? And that's there's a lot of people who believe in that kind of thing, almost like a panspermia type thing. We've been seeded by the stars. Aliens have made this. I mean, Ancient Aliens has made a career on this for how many years now?
Dude,
I mean, golly, man, it's crazy.
Do you remember that episode of the Twilight Zone where this couple wakes up in this town and they don't know where they're at, and they keep hearing this little girl laughing, and they're walking around and they're looking and they're like, we don't know where we're at, and long story short, they ended up getting abducted by aliens and taken to their planet and dropped off on their little girl's playset.
The dollhouse.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow. That's good. That's good.
It's funny, in the last 5-10 years, it seems now, like with YouTube and everything, everyone now is talking about the Book of Enoch and the stars and the heavenly host and the demonic realm and and aliens and all the symbology and the checkerboard floors. But this is what, 83? This was under our nose for decades before anybody noticed talking about it.
Years ago, when I first started going down all these rabbit holes, man, I remember one day like the power went out at work or something. They sent everybody home. So I came home and I was watching conspiracy videos, and I came across this video about the Jacksons. Can you feel it? And somebody broke down image by image, line by line, all of this Masonic stuff. And I'm like, what? This is crazy.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, what is happening here? Did the Jacksons really know this much? Was it the video maker? Was it, what was happening? But I just mentioned that because that's a song from that era that had imagery in it. Yeah. And here we have another one, and you wonder, it seems as though the band, is behind, a lot of this imagery, because it goes along with the lyrics, right? There's something happening here. But what do they say? We are pets in their animals in their zoo.
Yeah. But see, you wonder about that with, like you're talking about with the Jacksons and stuff. I mean, how much control did they really have on it? They really didn't write. I mean, their songs. Michael, as he got older, was writing a lot of the material, but I don't know about back that time period. So, they could squeeze anything in on that stuff, man.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a good point.
But I do believe these guys are writing the song, and the lyrics fit the imagery and stuff's going on to it. You just don't. The thing is, you don't know if that somebody comes along and goes, "Hey, man, I've been reading, some cool conspiracy stuff. Let's put some black and white checkerboards on the floor and let's just go to the next thing." Because there's a lot more in it too, as you'll see when it comes up. There's way more symbology.
All right, let's go. Yeah, let's look at some more. Zebra, who's behind the door? Look at those computers. You can definitely tell the bass player and the lead singer, like, they look exactly the same.
Yeah, the vibe. They're the stringed instrument guys.
So here we have another UFO type imagery. Landing is not on their minds. Might not have been in 83. But now I'm interested what you guys think. All of a sudden now, the very last two lines, how do we have the nerve? We're animals and preserve. It sounds like, I don't know if it's still Randy Jackson singing or if it's another voice, but all of a sudden it's kind of this higher voice register.
It is. He's the same guy. He does that. He has that register high.
Okay. I'm wondering why those two lines were sung in more of sort of a
falsetto.
Yeah. I wonder, because it draws attention to those two lines.
Yeah, I mean, you think of those four lines right there. They haven't got the time. Landing's not on their mind. It's almost like they're saying we were put here and left here, and they're not really paying attention to anything. We were just kind of created.
This does remind me of Panspermia, the alien gospel. Exactly. Speaking of L.A. Marzulli.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That's exactly what I think with it. But you got to think in 83, that wasn't as much of a, I don't remember hearing of that kind of stuff until later. But also I was a kid.
Well, this would have went way over most people's head back then.
Yeah, I think so too. That's what.
So who would they have had to have been reading or watching? Because you can't get this, I don't think, from a sci-fi movie. They had to have been reading somebody who was around back then talking about this. Zachariah Stitchin, somebody like that.
I don't know, man.
When did he start writing?
Stitching, Stitching, I felt like was maybe later 80s.
Okay.
What about Robert Anton Wilson, man? A lot of the Illuminatus trilogy, a lot of that acid.
Okay, was that guy? That guy was a Satanist, wasn't he, or an occultist?
He was pretty occultic stuff, man. I've read a lot of his stuff years ago, man. But that kind of stuff falls into it, you know. But 83, you know, I mean, I still think about as a kid. I remember Scholastic book fairs, and you would have these little books on Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster and the Yeti. And they were starting to pull in the alien stuff too. So there was, you know, even at that age, you were learning about Grays. 81's ET. So, you know, we're kind of getting that's.
I got a Scholastic book about ESP. Loved that book.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Kenny, I was going to bring up ET as well. 81.
Yeah.
If you talk to like our parents and our grandparents, the movies about alien invasions that they were exposed to were like War of the Worlds, Takeover. They're coming to eat us, you know, Twilight Zone.
Right.
Like
That's right.
The cookbook episode and all that. 81. All of a sudden now we have an alien coming from another planet that we are forced to empathize with. He's friendly. He's our friend. He's attracted to children and he does no harm to them. And, you know, so we're already seeing a shift in 81 now from aliens having to be wicked, evil, you know, being to we're your friends. And of course it goes all the way down the gamut then with like and all that stuff.
Yeah, you go back, Plan 9 from Outer Space. All the creatures and stuff like the Blob and things were always these, you know, they're going to kill us. Invasions of the Body Snatchers. You know, that was like took over the body. There's a whole lot of that. Dude. And then all of a sudden, you're right. All of a sudden, it was like, even with Close Encounters, it was, hey, we're going to have these aliens playing music tones. You know, it kind of, the scary factor went out. E.T. became this big thing of awesome. Now, I got to tell you something. When you brought up E.T. just now, I saw an article this week. I wish I'd saved it. I'm pretty sure it was the actor Javier Bardem. I don't know if you know him. He was in he's I'm trying to think what's of it. No Country for Old Men. That's him. There's an article out right now. Katie may be able to find it, where he describes the fact that he was attracted to E.T. That was his first crush.
Weird.
I'm not kidding you. I read an article about it and I looked at it and I went, that can't be. He didn't mean that. And then he's like, yeah, man, I had a crush on E.T. I'm thinking, why would you tell people that?
If aliens are real, I hope they're like lizard people, dude, because I will
well, okay, now you're talking also, it's like 83. You're talking a little bit later than that. You're getting like the V series where where they had the alien and they eat the guinea pigs. Yeah, man, that was Robert
Do you guys remember that birth of that?
Oh my God.
You don't forget
was must-see TV.
You're talking about traumatizing.
Yeah.
Man.
So, I mean, I was excited to see it, but that was on prime time television. Everybody was like, what's going to happen?
Yeah. And you think about it, they did the whole thing with that, you know, the leader was this beautiful brunette. You know, when he pulled her face off that one time, you're like, there are all these reptilian creatures.
Yeah, that messes you up, dude, psychologically and emotionally, especially if you're going through puberty at that time, right?
Yeah. Hey, and you know what? There it is right there. Oh my gosh, Katie, you're the best. Yes, there it is. I saw that and was like, I skipped over it and was like, oh my God, childhood celebrity crush. That's things you just don't tell people unless there's a purpose for that. Oh, hey, kids, it's okay to love an alien that looks like a worm creature with big eyes. I don't know, man. I don't know. Javier Bardem kind of looks a little bit like E.T., man, especially that haircut he had in No Country for Old Men.
Well, what's interesting about V and They Live is now the commentary is changing to the aliens have lived among us all this time and just like us. And that was terrifying to think that, oh man, this person that I married or this person I work for, it could be one of them. Oh my gosh, you need the magic sunglasses to tell who's who.
Wow, yeah, they live.
I think there's a lot of predictive programming in that.
I think it is too.
When they remade that series about 10 years ago, there was some things going on that they kind of incorporated into the show. I can't really we can't talk about it here, okay, because we're not even allowed to get close to this topic. But there were messages, obviously predictive programming messages going out on that show. And when you watch the old V series, they had trauma-based mind control that they were doing to the humans. They were doing this on the show. Crazy.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah, they were showing it being, they were showing that. It was definitely predictive, man. You see it now. I mean, I have all that stuff on DVD, man. And every once in a while you pull them out and look, it's crazy. But the remake in 2009, I mean, you're talking 14 years ago. You know, they've actually won a little more. We can't talk about some of the stuff as that. Right. You're right.
So anyway, from Zebra to V, you know,
that's it.
Zebra. Speaking of Zebra, I heard there's a story about a zebra biting a guy's arm off here in Ohio somewhere.
What?
So zebras, if that's a true story, they're a little bit more vicious than you might assume.
Wow.
So anyway.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe Katie.
Hey guys, let's name our band something very vicious like zebra.
I want giraffe.
That's right.
All right.
Hey, can we name our band slightly hearing impaired hippopotamus? That would be great. All right.
Deaf leopard. Okay.
Right,
oh, there you go.
Keep going.
All right. Here we go. More zebra. So this was ahead of its time.
Oh, it is. Yeah. No, absolutely. That's why I said when it was brought to my attention, I was like, this is good. This is perfect for Audiotopsy. It's got some great stuff in it. See, he's telling the stories going along, and then they're saying now we're animals in a zoo. They're watching us all. They're just making sure we don't trip and fall. They look so hard, but can't tell us why they're here and just what for. Because they don't know who opened up the door. That's crazy, man. You're looking at it, you're like, oh, okay, hey, we think aliens did it. But guess what? They don't know either. So there's a speculation of there's definitely something else that's created all this. They're just not being as obvious as we would be. So we know the answer. Hi, we know the answer, Zebra.
You know, how far?
Give me a call.
How crazy is it to have a belief like this? Like when you compare it to something like Islam, because when you look back at Islam, they believe that the white race is an experiment gone wrong. Have you guys ever heard that?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Which is kind of, I mean, that's an interesting, theory.
That moves into a lot of the theology, like the Nation of Islam type.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're kind of, they definitely do. There's a whole, there's a super racial aspect to that.
Right. Well, and then, just he's asking the question in this song, like, who opened up the door? Who did this? Who put us here? And going back to the idea of panspermia, which, for anybody that doesn't know, it's the belief that we were seeded here by an alien race. And I'm thinking of the movie Prometheus. Have you guys seen that movie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that ties into all the alien movies.
Right.
Yeah, I'd say most people probably at this point have heard something about panspermia. It's pretty common knowledge at this point what goes on, especially with as much as Ancient Aliens, man. It's
well,
they've laid that out for 15 years now. I mean, every episode's basically that.
Isn't it crazy that the Ancient Aliens show is on the History Channel as if it's fact?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
After a while you think about it, man. I don't know, man. I think about how much I've been accustomed to watching things like that growing up. So it's going to influence you, and I feel really blessed to be at a place in my life where I know the truth. I know the truth with Jesus and the Bible, and that knowing that keeps me from all this stuff doesn't fall into my view. It doesn't create my theology. It doesn't do anything with that. But you can see that a lot of the stuff. I mean, right now we live in a world where most people don't even read anymore. They watch videos, and it's quick cut. So this time period of this is very different, man. This was a long form video. People would actually sit and watch a whole video on TV. This wasn't on their computers. It wasn't on thing. You had to watch a show and watch a whole video to get that stuff. So, we live in such a different time now.
Kenny, this has got me wondering again, watching this video and trying to just kind of deconstruct who's the lyric writer in this band, and you wonder if they all three believed it, because it seems like they're all on board, or they're just making a video and the other two don't know what's going on. But
like Steven Adler,
you wonder what kind of environment that they grew up in.
Oh,
because is this an American band?
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
Okay.
So and they're kind of like they're band. One of them, I think, two of them are based out of New Orleans, so they're in that area, and then another one's like from New York. So they kind of have like two home bases that people kind of know them from, and they still play in those areas and stuff. So.
I mean, New Orleans is not too far from the Bible Belt, so to have either they're rebelling from their roots, from their upbringing in church, it goes back. I think the first episode we did was Over the Mountain by Ozzy Osbourne. And there's some interesting things similar to what we're talking about here in that song. It's like, how do you start there? Or how did you get to that point to where this is what you're writing about? This is what you believe.
Right.
There's got to be a story. I mean, did they leave home and just start reading a book and be like, yeah, this is it. This is it. I reject, this view over here. This is too hard for me to grasp this, the Christian God and Jesus and the gospel, or, and who knows, maybe they didn't have any kind of influence in their life whatsoever. I'm just assuming, because 50 years ago, it was more prevalent, obviously, than it is now. So I don't know. I just, I'm thinking about this. What
I will say,
kind of home did they grow up in?
Yeah, I will say this. I've written songs, lots of songs on different things. And sometimes I would just write songs that were stupid, that had a cool, crazy idea. When I was a young kid, I wrote a song that actually got some play on some stuff. And it was basically during my, I like to smoke a lot of pot days, my early musician days. So, I wrote a song about aliens bringing marijuana to Earth. And it was a real song. And I still have it. So, but I'm just saying that where does that come from?
Yeah.
Actually, one of my biggest songs ever was a song about a kid riding a Huffy bike, and it got on all kinds of. Who writes stuff like that? I did. That was me. I write songs about Jesus and God. It's crazy, man. That dude's nuts. Seriously.
When I would have to write stories or creative writing type stuff for school, I was influenced by Star Trek. I was influenced by cartoons like Dungeons and Dragons cartoons.
Yep.
And
absolutely,
stuff
man.
like that.
Dude,
I love the idea of Dungeons and Dragons. If you remember that cartoon, these guys were minding their own business and they slipped into another dimension. And I'm like, oh, dude, that's a good idea. So I would try to do stuff like that. But
I wrote a song around 91. It was on a CD, and it was basically, the premise was the Star Trek Enterprise came and beamed up my band to the ship, and we were playing for for Kirk, the original, not these latest.
Not Picard.
The original TOS. I mean, we're talking Kirk, Spock,
Yeah.
that stuff. I did a whole story about it, and it's a pretty good song, man. That's all I'm gonna say. I'll bring it out sometime.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So
what's the name of that song?
Enterprise.
Enterprise.
Oh,
Okay.
It really is. Yeah. Hey, you know what the hook is? We were jamming on the Starship Enterprise. That's the hook.
Oh, nice. So the lyric in that last section that we listened to that was intriguing to me is they, you know, we've established
Right.
they don't know who opened the door, and I'm thinking they probably do. I think they probably don't like who opened the door, and in some ways they had their own role in that. I mean, they rebelled. They left their first estate. They left their first estate. But by way of this concept, if we're going to look at this as there's a door that someone is opening or shutting, the scriptures have plenty to say about that. So I just want to read a couple verses where the Bible very clearly speaks about who opened the door and who has the keys. Yep. Isaiah 22:22. Then I will set the key of the house of David on his shoulder. Mm-hmm. When he opens, no one will shut. When he shuts, no one will open. Revelation 9:1. Then the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star from heaven which had fallen to the earth, and the key of the bottomless pit was given to him. Matthew 16:19. He's talking to the saints now. Jesus says, I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind on earth shall have been bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. This is three of many. There's also a blatant verse where Jesus declares outright, I am the door. So the Bible's pretty clear. If anyone doesn't know who opened the door, a very cursory glance at scripture will tell you hundreds of times.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's good. That's good stuff.
That's right. Preach it, sister. Very good. All right. Do we have any more of this? I want to see.
Yeah, there is. There's some more.
There's lots more.
This is getting exciting.
A little bit more.
He's going towards the door here.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of so many sci-fi movies.
I'm telling you, man. You can't see that and not think about The Shining. There's like the pointing aspect. There's a whole lot of stuff that somebody was just like, I'm going to throw this in here.
So,
but notice he said, who owns the keyless door?
I know. No.
That changes the aspect of it real quickly. You're like, wait a minute. He's specifying more as it gets going down through here.
Unless it's a gate, unless a dimensional portal would be a keyless door, I guess.
Listen to these lyrics.
Yeah.
Here.
Unwatched men. That makes me think of the Watchers, because who's watching?
Who watches? Yeah, that's right. Where does the cycle end? Now you're getting the stuff that could possibly be about reincarnation. They're thinking about it more of a not just as a Christian aspect in terms of like Hinduism and things like that. That's kind of
dude.
Time loops, quantum stuff.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's some stuff going on here.
Yeah.
And I bet like the keyless door, somebody out there, and I want to know if the listeners know if there's any sci-fi writer, or if there's any kind of philosophical writer who talked about the keyless door. There's got to be somebody out there. These guys, I think, are referencing somebody that we're not familiar
with. I do too.
With.
You're probably right. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. Somebody look that up.
Where? Okay. Well, anyway, where does this
more? There's more lyrics.
Yeah,
still.
I was going to read. Yeah, we'll go more.
Yeah. Let's go to the next one.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Zebra. Man-eating zebra. Okay. I hope they don't call me soon.
Call me soon.
So
no, wait a minute.
there seems to be a fear.
He actually says, "Where do we go from here? Faith is a fading fear." That's the line.
That, you know what?
Yeah.
That's some sick, twisted poetry right there.
Yeah. I don't understand. If your fear is fading, then who cares if they call you up soon?
Yeah.
What are you afraid of?
I think that's more about an aspect of people who I mean, if you're not a Christian, it's not going to mean this stuff. People think about, you know, I can only look at my own specs and stuff, where I've had things where I've been very close to death, and people are like, "You're not scared." I'm like, "No, because I know where I'm going, and I'm okay with that. If that's what I don't know my time, I don't know what God's plan is for that." But when you read, most people are kind of, you know, they're scared of dying. They're like, they don't want to die. So you feel like he's going, okay, he's not completely scared, and faith is a fading fear. And he's kind of like, I'm not totally scared. And I feel like it says life is a waiting room. It's like you've been put here. But, you know, to me, I think that's a little bit, I don't know if it's just his verbiage.
For this,
I hope they don't call
this very obscure band,
yeah,
they've got some very interesting keywords here. Keyless door, unwatched men.
Yeah.
Okay. Faith is a fading fear.
Yeah.
Life is a waiting room.
Yeah.
I hope they don't call me soon.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Very fascinating. Very fascinating. Who's behind the door?
So I have a theory, and it's just a theory, but we all know now, like, we didn't know this in the past, but we all know now that, like, a lot of these bands, they hire studio musicians to do the actual recordings, because, like, time is money, and a lot of these guys are flaky and don't show up on time. And so we know that. So to think that these guys are living the rock style life, you know, and coming up with profoundly philosophical, deeply religious and spiritual lyrics, sometimes for me is a stretch. And I don't want to stereotype, because there are a lot of extremely intelligent, you know, philosophical musicians.
Right.
We do have creative minds and stuff, but just from what I know about literary figures, so I'm not talking about musicians now, I'm talking about literary figures, people who are famous for, you know, I'm talking like Baum, like Frank Baum and H.P. Lovecraft and Edgar Allan Poe and Helena Blavatsky, all these people, they will be the first to tell you, I got all of this from dreams. I got all from astral projection. I was smoking pot. I was dropping acid.
Sure.
The guy who wrote Jekyll and Hyde, the whole entire thing was a dream he had. And so I think that a lot of these musicians might legitimately be the authors of the lyrics. They are sitting down and they are writing it. But like A. Nesbitt, who was an influence on C.S. Lewis, she was a children's author in England who predated Lewis. Blavatsky, they did automatic writing where they were channeling and they were writing, and it might have been under the influence of a drug, maybe not, it might have been astral. So it's not that these guys aren't writing these lyrics, but it doesn't mean that they're not being used in some way and they're not channeling these lyrics. Even the prophets, there were prophets in scripture that said they did not know what they were writing at the time. Daniel, Peter, what did the vision mean? I don't even know. And so I do think that human beings are highly susceptible to being channels. And so it's not that I'm accusing these people of not really writing their lyrics, but I'm thinking that in a lot of cases, they're getting a lot of help and they're writing something down and going, that's awesome. Oh, that sounds so cool. Oh, it even rhymes. But if you really ask them, what does this really mean? They might not be able to tell you.
Right. Right. And I will say this also too, man, with the fact that they were getting help and they wrote this amazing song with all these great lyrics and stuff, they got a bad deal because nobody knows this song or the band. So to me, it's kind of like, but I also look at it like this. What if it's opposite of that? What if this was something that's supposed to be unveiled at a later time? That could, we just don't know what's going on with it, because there's a couple more lines that kind of talks in and stuff, but it's interesting to look into the background of the band, and they're kind of, you know, they were just kind of they were a bar band, man, playing 3 sets a night, doing that kind of stuff, and got kind of in a place and ended up getting a song and hit and got onto a record label. I mean,
so Kenny, they're hitting the road again after 50 years.
Yeah.
Again, I'm asking, I wonder what has happened in their lives since they wrote these lyrics, recorded this song, made this video. I wonder if they've had any changes in beliefs. I wonder if anybody has encountered Christ. Somebody, one of these guys had to have had. I mean, they have not necessarily, you know, depending on where they're looking at, but they had to brush up against truth, you know, in the last 50 years. That's 150 years combined. Okay. That somebody had a chance to give them truth.
Right.
So it makes you wonder just where are they at now in comparison when they were putting out this message 50. Well, I guess the band's 50 years old, but the song is not. So,
well, what's interesting to think about is this song came out in 83, and there's a little bit of history on the band and talking about stuff in 82 when they were playing. It was like, you know, part of their history is they played a lot of clubs and stuff, but the night they got signed, they were playing a St. Christopher's Catholic youth dance in New Orleans in an old gym for the school. And they got signed from that gig where teenagers were there. And it was just an old gig in an old church gym. And then they got signed to Atlantic Records, which was the home of Led Zeppelin. I mean, dude, it's 1982. You're going to get a record deal with Atlantic. It was as big as it got back then. And, you know, and they kind of have that vibe too. So it was a pretty big deal. And to me, it's interesting that they got this big deal and they made the record and nobody still knows who they are or the song. So what was the deal? Why did they get this big bump? I mean, because they got an Atlantic Records deal. That's huge. That was huge at that time period. But, so to see how they got into that, you know, they were just playing clubs and, you know, gyms. I mean, that think about it. We're playing at an old a Catholic school gym, and that's where they got signed. That's crazy stuff. I mean, man. It's crazy.
I'm not trying to cut on the band, but bands like this had to be a dime a dozen. So why did they get picked?
Yeah. I agree. I think that the lead singer had something that fit a kind of demographic they like. And if you go back over the last 40 years, he's still been very prolific, just not with this band. He's done he goes and sings in a lot of big orchestral stuff. Somebody's always doing a night of Led Zeppelin, and they have the full orchestra, but they need somebody to sing it. And Randy Jackson from Zebra gets a lot of gigs, and he does that all over the world. He goes and plays for a lot of different ones, because he can sing a little bit like Robert Plant. So he's made a living at it. It's kind of neat. When I saw they were still playing out, I was like, I'm going to try to I want to catch them somewhere. I want to hear, because I'd love to talk to them. I'd love to be like, hey, man, tell me about this song. We talked about it on the show.
I hope somebody somewhere somehow has gotten to these guys with the gospel, or they brushed up against the gospel and encountered it in some way.
It's going to be me.
So
I'm going to run into them at that gig. We're going to talk guitars, and then Jesus will get thrown in there.
We got more of this song. I think there's an outro.
Yeah, it is. Hey, I will say this. When I heard this song, I was so impressed with the fact that he held a note for like 30 seconds. I know. Wow. He hits that door note and he doesn't let off of it. And it just kind of fades through it. I was like, okay, that's impressive. That's impressive in itself. But, you know.
Kenny, had you listened to this band before, or this is a listener brought this to you?
Honestly, it was somebody I talked to at the con in April. And, Out of the Darkness, and we just over breakfast they were talking about some stuff we got to talk about, and then they sent me a message. They said, you know, I love the Audiotopsy show. Have you ever thought about doing this song? And I was like, I remember the band. I remember they had I didn't remember this song as much as their other one.
Yeah.
And my brain, so it's,
what's the name
tell
of the
me what
person
you want,
that
maybe.
suggested this?
The person, Beth Martin, maybe?
Shout
Beth
out
Wagner
to Beth.
Martin. I know. That's what I told her. I sent her a thing last week when we were talking about doing it. I sent her a thing that said, we're doing the first show on it. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So she's like, send it to me. She thought I was sending her a copy of the show early. And I was like, we haven't recorded it yet. It's coming. Coming. But yeah, big shout out to Beth, man. It's a great song. And it lent itself to something that none of us I didn't know the song that well. And so to me, it was really interesting. There's a lot, the lyric content, but not even that, just the visuals, man. We're seeing all this black and white checkerboards and the twinning thing. And she kind of brought that up. And I was like, yeah, we need to talk about this. This has got some good stuff in it.
No kidding. Wow. Well, I think it's fascinating. And the most fascinating thing for me is the time that it came out. Okay, because nobody was really doing this like this back then. I mean, this is like the sequel to Come Sail Away, right? Or something like that. It
is. Yeah. Did you catch the last line though? What he said? How much more do you really think you know?
Yeah.
Than a flower does about who's behind the door. It's like all of a sudden it's like you are insignificant in this situation. And I went, wait a minute, and that's a guy. And right there, it kind of, to me, it changed a little bit of everything on the aspect, because I think you have to look at it, God knows he knows the number of the hairs on our head and sand, all these things. And I look at that and go, right at the end of this, he goes, how much more do you really think you know than a flower knows?
Well, this reminds me of this, who's got this argument? It's not Dawkins, or maybe it's Hitchens, this atheist, saying that we are just stardust, right? And what's the difference between you and a flower? And that philosophy, is is a big problem, because people that believe that there's no difference between a human and a flower, they have no problem cutting humans down just like you do a flower. So, we're seeing that. Think of that forward, right? In terms of life in the womb, of abortion and things like that. What do you think you know more? You're no better than a flower.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. And I'm thinking of the verse in Romans that says, who has known the mind of the Lord, or who has been his counselor, who has ever given to God that God should repay him? For from him and through him and to him are all things, to him be the glory. So yeah, we will never know the full mind of God, even in heaven. I hope not. I hope I never come to the end of it. Well, but it also says in John that you now know my master's business. I no longer call you servants, but friends. Everything the Father has made known to me, I make known to you. So we do know more than that flower.
Yeah. It makes me also think of Job and a song by the band Tourniquet, Theocracy on Trial, where that song is the story of Job, okay? Yeah. And God comes in at the end and he's like, where were you when I did all this stuff? Okay. Yeah. Where were you? When I was creating, the universe and all this, and anyway, that would be a good song to cover sometime. Might be too hot.
I was just reading in Job, my Bible, just my own studies, and there's a great part in there when Job's basically like putting God on trial, and you're reading it and you're going, oh my gosh, dude, what are you doing? He's like saying all these things like, I am so, look how I'm so amazing, and you're basically watching him and he's basically saying to God, hey man, listen, if I'm wrong about it, you can just kill me. It's like getting the death sentence, and you're reading it, you're going, dude, you're in trouble. You're done.
Isn't God's word so amazing? I read it,
I'm always like, oh, how did he not know? And it's such a great thing.
When you can read the Bible and then you're like, oh, dude, I'm embarrassed for the person that's going on. Of course, we know the whole story, but you're like, I just want to shrink. Like, don't do this, or this is.
I spent some time on it the other day because it made me think about it, how people think about how righteous they are. But God, I'm this and I'm all this, and I'm so much better than that person.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, dude, God can see your inner heart, man. He knows what's going on.
We're going to get to heaven, and we're going to realize that everybody has the book of their life, written down, the book of Kenny Seay, the book of and we're going to see Paul and Adam and Eve reading our books going like, man.
Oh,
oh yeah, dude.
Chapter 13, the book of Kenny Seay. Nobody wants to see that. Never again. Just saying.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Hey, folks. We told you what we think about Zebra and the song Who's Behind the Door. We want to know what you think. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you like Kenny? Do you not like Kenny?
I don't cut the comments off. No, Tom.
So, hey, what do you think? Hey, if you love this show, tell us. We want to know. We appreciate it. We're gonna keep doing it no matter what. Hey, this show made the cut, right? We've cut off a couple shows this season, but we're just we're scaling it back a little bit. We're gonna change from season to season. But hey, if you're trying to figure out, if you're watching through the black and you're trying to figure out where was the show at on Wednesday night, it was on Rumble. You got to go to Rumble. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, and you can go to throughtheblack.com, by the way, and you can find direct links to everything, all of the shows, everything that we do, the podcast that we're connected with, stuff like that. We're going to tell you more about. But, folks, yes, week 1 down, and we're going to be back next week. Vicki, well, actually, I'm going to be back on Monday with Colleen. We're switching it up a little bit. But Vicki Joy and I will be back Tuesday and Wednesday, and we're going to have another Audiotopsy for you next week. So, oh yeah, and Kenny's going to be there as well. So
I made the cut. Hey everybody, I made the cut.
Yeah, Kenny made the cut. Actually, Kenny, we just forced him. We're like, hey, you're not leaving, okay?
Yeah,
so he was like, okay, guys, can I be done now? Not really.
Nope.
I love this show, man. You guys are great.
So, pet zebra nearly bites Ohio man's arm off. Okay, animal fatally shot. Authorities say. So is this is USA Today, folks?
Who's got a
pet zebra? I mean, what kind of teeth does a zebra have? Do I not know everything about zebras? What am I missing here?
It says pet zebra.
Legal to have a pet zebra?
Well, he's a dead zebra now.
Oh,
so.
That's
interesting.
crazy.
Well, you don't play with zebras, man. That'll get me thinking twice at the petting zoo.
Bit his whole arm off, man.
There you guys go. Let us know what you think. We're going to be back next week. God bless everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us again. All right, bye.